Welcome back to the Climate Solution Center. Today we're going to answer the following question. To better benefit the environment, should I be eating meat? In other words, Sustainable Showdown, Beans vs. Meat Edition. Okay, I hear half-hearted arguments thrown around all the time regarding whether or not it is environmentally sound to eat meat, or should we all be vegan, or some blend of the two, right? And by half-hearted, I just mean that it's often more emotionally based than it is scientifically based. So I hear anywhere from don't ever eat meat because they emit so much methane, which is a greenhouse gas, so that's bad, obviously, to cows and other animals are such an integral part of the ecosystem that they can actually sequester carbon or become a carbon sink, absorb carbon into the soil, right? And the sides are hardcore. The middle ground seems slim, but should it be? If we take a scientific look at greenhouse gas emissions and carbon sequestration benefits and strategies, then here's how it breaks down. So let's start with this question. Is meat bad for the environment? Of course, we're oversimplifying things a bit when we're pitting beans versus meat. But there's clearly a vast difference in land use, greenhouse gas emissions, and water use based on what type of protein is being raised for human consumption, especially when we compare plants and animals, right? And just a caveat here, the cultural significance of certain foods is not being taken into account here. We absolutely understand that approach and do not mean to discount the cultural significance of certain foods. So just keep that in mind. We're doing a very scientific approach here as far as greenhouse gas emissions reductions, water use, land use, etc. So proponents of a vegan or plant-based diet are making the case that we should eat less meat to help cut our collective environmental impacts. While the health benefits of eating less meat and more plants are well documented, the environmental argument has been a little fuzzy for a while. So it's clear that growing plants is far less impactful for the environment, and yet we see new headlines every day claiming that pasture-raised cattle can help in the battle against climate change. So what does the research show? What should you believe? Here's the facts, and by facts I truly mean scientific data. Right, one of the reports we're using is a meta-analysis of 38,000 farms and ranches worldwide. We take the data and the facts very seriously so that you can be confident in this knowledge. I'm linking it in the description as I normally do. If you want to dig further into our sources, please do. They're very interesting, honestly. So, what the science says is meat-based protein sources. The kilograms of CO2e, or carbon dioxide equivalent, from beef range from 20 kilograms per 100 grams of protein produced to 75 kilograms per 100 grams. And we use kilograms just because it's a more universal language than just the U.S.'s imperial system. And we normalize the comparison to 100 grams of protein produced because one of the biggest things I hear out there when we're talking about this is that, tofu or beans or whatever produce doesn't have the same density of protein that meat does. And so what we're doing here is saying, okay, then how many kilograms of CO2e are produced per 100 grams of protein, right? So that should nix that argument. So just to recap there, because I went off on a tangent, the kilograms of CO2e from beef are 20 kilograms, which translates to 44 pounds, to 75 kilograms, which is 165 pounds per 100 grams of protein produced. Pork is in second place, animal protein-wise, with 4 to 13 kilograms. Poultry is between 3 and 12. And dairy is the heavy hitter surprise here of dairy products ranging from 9.1 kilograms to 25 kilograms. So, dairy products, again, it's cattle. Anytime we're dealing with cattle, it's really high impact as far as how hard it is on the environment. In comparison, don't take my word for it, here are plant-based protein sources. Tofu, being from soybeans, right, and that's where the beans comes into this discussion in our Sustainable Showdown. Tofu ranges from 1 to 4 kilograms of CO2e per 100 grams of protein produced. 1 to 4. Grains many of which have protein, are 2 to 5 kilograms. Nuts, 0 to 3 kilograms. And peas or legumes, 0 to 2 kilograms. So, tofu, one of the most recognizable protein sources for a vegan vegetarian, is 1 to 4 kilograms of CO2e produced per 100 grams of protein. And beef is 20 to 75 kilograms per 100 grams of protein. That is a huge difference. There is no question that meat emits more greenhouse gases, is harder on the land, and pollutes the water way more than plant-based protein sources. That's just the bottom line, right? And keep in mind that we're not factoring in the cultural significance of certain meats or carbon sequestration in this video, and I'll get into that in another video where we look and see if beef can be sustainable. But the way that beef is being produced right now is really damaging, not just beef, meat-based proteins in general. I also just want to add that truly something that needs to be addressed immediately is the agricultural production in general. I'm not trying to demonize animals here or to say that veganism is the way necessarily. It's just if we're looking scientifically at for the environment, greenhouse gas emissions, meat is way worse than other produce is, right? I mean, in the case of tofu versus beef, it's 18 times plus the impact than tofu has. So this is one way to look at it. We also need to stop spraying our food with chemicals, which kills the soil, kills the microorganisms in there that we need to be healthy, and ruins the nutrients. So we need to look at this holistically. And while, yes, largely plant-based diet or vegan diet is better from a greenhouse gas emissions angle, we can also do a lot better there to create better food for our people and to cut down on the chemical use that ends up in the water and ends up in our bodies. In conclusion, if you want something that you can do today that can help in the fight against climate change, it's to lower or eliminate your meat consumption. It's not difficult. It's really not. The American diet has so much meat in it. I come from the Midwest originally, where meat and potatoes and a small vegetable was what my meal's made up of. But what we really need to be doing is eating primarily plants. If you do eat meat, make sure it's sourced well. If it's from pasture raised or whatever, that's better than the McDonald's that's going to have beef that's just mass produced in these feedlots that are horrific, not only for the environment, but also for the welfare of the animals themselves. Just horrific. If you don't believe me, go look at pictures. I'm not going to show any for you, but it's horrific. So, in conclusion, if you want to do something today, vegan, vegetarian, or just reducing your meat, it's an easy step anyone can take. Thanks for listening. I hope this was helpful. And like I said, we'll have more discussions on this topic, specifically around can beef be sustainable, and a few others. So thanks for listening. Please hit that like and subscribe button. Comment below if you agree, disagree. We appreciate you. Thanks.